Obviously for me going into year 2, 9 new bodies, 9 returning bodies. So a very, very different look this year when it comes to what IU volleyball is going to look like. One of the biggest challenges for me, especially early, and this is something on the macro that I think is interesting. You know, football has been practicing for I don't know how many days, 10 or 12 days or something, and men's and women's basketball get to spend time with their teams in the summer. For us, we have 2.5 weeks to prepare for our first match after being away from them for 3 or 4 months. So for us, it's really like a big Lego set. You know, I got to get in the gym, see what these kids can do, especially some of the freshmen, the transfers, and see what they're capable of doing and start to formulate lineups and put some stuff together. We don't have the luxury of spending a whole bunch of time on development of skills because we got to get into a lineup and figure that out. But for the most part, a really cool mix of returning players and new players. It's a very veteran team in some ways, where we have 6 or 7 seniors on the roster who this is their last opportunity to kind of make a run through the Big Ten. And then a couple key positions, we'll have some youth, obviously some very talented kids, but young, and it'll be their first trip around. So staff is the same as last year. We're adding a technical director that we're working on right now, who's going to be in charge of film and video and helping us with recruiting. And you know, I had watched the press conference a year ago when Archie was going into year 2 with basketball, and he just said it was great to kind of know what's going on and where to go and have his feet underneath him. And at the time, I was insanely jealous because I felt like I was in a tornado of things going on. But now, you know, my wife and kids are in school. We found a place to live. Staff and I have had a year under our belt. We're in a new building. It feels like home. And I'm not a very calm human being, but I feel a lot more calm than I was a calendar year ago. So with that, we're excited about the year, excited about the building. And with that, I'll open it up for some questions.
Coach, what have the first few days of practice been like?
Pretty good. You know, I was laughing with my wife last night that I'd just say, you know, cliche, moving on. But it's funny. The one thing I will say about this group is their energy is great. I really like my team. And I know it sounds funny, but there's some years where you might have some talent or some year, you know, this might be my 21st training camp. I think I've been a coach on a staff for 16 or 17 training camps and then 4 as a player when I played at Penn State. So over half my life I've been doing this. Talent-wise, we'll see. I think it'll all play out. I think we got a nice team, but I really like them. I like their energy. They're good kids. We haven't had to kind of whip the horse at all. They're just happy to be here. They've got big smiles. They play hard and they compete. So implementing the stuff we'll do will take some time, but I just like seeing them every day. I enjoy them.
I mean, this year, you know, you talked a lot about the preseason schedule being a little tougher. I mean, you just mentioned you only got 2 weeks to prepare until you really get going. I mean, how hard is it going to be right away from the start?
I think it's certainly challenging, but it's challenging for the other programs as well. Traditionally, this program at Indiana has played a preseason that's allowed them maybe to get some more wins and play some teams where they might have had an opportunity or better opportunity to win. I just think it's important that we start playing really good programs, period. You know, I think the goal for me is to become good. I know I've said that before and it sounds simple, but you want to be able to play really good programs. You want to be able to recruit really good kids and not hope. Hope for me is not a strategy. You know, I don't hope to win. We've got to get good enough to win. And if you're going to play in the nation's best conference, you don't want to duck people. And I think this year we'll play in the preseason, one of the toughest preseasons in the history of this program. And we're going to play teams that, if we don't play well, beat us up pretty good. So the first 2 weekends we get to play at home, which is a huge deal. Remember last year we were on the road for all 4 preseason weekends, and that was a challenge for so many reasons. But to be at home for the first 2 weeks is great, and then we're going to go down to Kentucky and play Kentucky, and I think they could be Final Four good this year. And then we'll travel the last weekend on we'll get down to South Florida and get the team on a plane, so we have that feeling as well. But the preseason, we're going to need to be ready to go in a few weeks, that's for sure.
Obviously, going into year 2, how much are you still trying to implement your culture? How much do you feel like you were able to lay that foundation last year?
Yeah, it's come a long way. You know, I had a pretty good set of things I wanted to try to accomplish in the first 16 months, all right? So we wanted to, obviously culture is something we talk about all the time, and being a good teammate, being grateful, doing things the right way, and learning how we play Indiana volleyball. We wanted to have some impact in the community and bring some energy and get people excited about it. You know, attendance went up 600% last year. Student section went crazy, and I think that's going to continue, and that's something that we're into and we're proud of. We've recruited really well. My staff is very, very good. They work really hard. We've brought in some transfers that'll play and they'll be impact kids right away. Physical, talented, veteran kids that I think will make the lineup look a lot different than a year ago. So we crossed off a lot of the big rocks, I think, in the first 16 months. We're in a position now, I feel pretty good about where we're at. I think we're a little ahead of where I thought we'd be in year 2. But again, we could be exceptional as a volleyball team and still struggle in the conference because the conference is that good. And I think, you know, people who know the conference and understand what we're getting into understand that. So we're just going to try to control what we can control, get better every day. Recruiting's gone great. The next few years, we've got some elite kids coming in. We're excited about them. But this is a good opportunity over the next 4 months to do some pretty cool stuff.
In terms of talking about that, just how important is this building? You spent all of last year kind of knowing that a lot of what you were kind of in every day was going to be temporary, that you were going to be moving over here.
Right.
Just how different is it maybe as you talk about culture, as you talk about routine, as you talk about just building habits within your team, important is it that you're in this building permanently?
Yeah, even walking, I think the first thing you notice when you come to this building is that it's impressive, and you know, it's got Olympic style courts, and the lighting's great, and all the bells and whistles are pretty exceptional. You feel good coming to work. As a student athlete, you get excited every day to come to the building. There were times last year where it was hard for the kids to park, you know, just to get in, and trying to stay with the routine and get into the gym and do what we're doing was a challenge. There's been a rejuvenated, I don't want to say, maybe not rejuvenated, it's been, our level of energy has been really, really high through the summer and then into training camp, because I think kids are just excited about, you know, it's a brand new car, man, brand new restaurant. You know, they're excited to come every single day. It's still got the new car smell, and they're excited to be here. But right across the street is where the freshmen live. It's an easy walk to the football stadium that has all the, you know, they spend $50 million plus on nutrition and sports medicine. So it really is one-stop shopping once you get over here. I think just to be a student athlete, it's so convenient and so easy. Not just that, now if you're a fan, right? If you're a fan, you can park, concessions are gonna be great, the seats are awesome, the sight lines are great, the video boards are incredible. I mean, the whole experience of being over here, there really isn't any comparison from what it was a year ago.
Coach, a follow-up to that, in a broader sense, what does a facility like this do for the program, not just now in the long term, being able to go forward?
Yeah, the recruiting side of it, that's a popular question and a good question that people ask. You know, will it help recruiting? Obviously it will. I think the nature of what we do in our sport, you know, we have our eyes on 7th and 8th grade kids in the state, and so it'll matter. It's just going to matter in years. You know, the nature of our sport is we recruit awfully young. They've passed some legislation now, so we can't commit kids till junior year, have them on visits junior year. But if you're a volleyball player in the state of Indiana and you're a young kid, you know, that's got sniffing this out and trying to take a look at it, when you come to a match, you'll know that it matters, and it's pretty as good as it gets in the country as a place to play. So it's not only going to matter short term; it mattered with our transfers when we brought them in and said, "Hey, look, this is the difference in what the direction we're headed." Long term, I think it's going to keep getting better, and that's our goal. I mean, it's a stated goal. I think it should be a stated goal if you're a coach at this place. You want the best kids in the state. You want the kids in Indiana that want to come here to come here, and you want them to know that we care. The school cares about the sport. It's in the best conference in the country, and it's certainly a stated goal. There's no question.
A number of players in this program that have family ties to high-level athletes. Does that show up in their competitiveness, or what's it like when you have players that have those kind of connections?
Yeah, I think we joke about that a lot. You know, if we have a pretty good starting 5 former dad basketball players, you know, forget about the Indiana, in the Oliphants of the world, and obviously Megan Sloan's father who played here. But Emily Fitzner's dad played basketball at Stanford, and Ashley Zuloff's dad played at Michigan State for Judd. And you know, there's a bunch of, part of it is this. I think they have competitive daughters. But they're better human beings and better families. You know, these are just good kids, man. They know how to work. They come in every day. I think Megan Sloan's a great example. She's an Indiana kid. She started her career in Louisville and then transferred back here. I think she always wanted to come to Indiana. I think she really wants to play in the colors. I think the family is going to be thrilled this year, represent the school and be here. Her brother plays baseball here. You know, so there's a lot of that in the state, and I'm learning, right? So I'm about 16 months, 18 months into this thing, but There's a lot of pride in this place. It's an amazing school, amazing campus, and our job as a staff and as a program is to get people fired up about volleyball.
Good.
Coach, where's Kendall Bierman at her recovery, and how do you expect her to figure her back in the rotation after missing most of the play last year?
Yeah, Kendall again is a fifth-year senior coming off her second ACL. Suffered an injury last year when we played at home early in the season. We had gotten off to a pretty good start. At one point, she might have been third in the conference in kills. Pretty good athlete, and obviously with a huge arm, lots of talent. She says she feels great. She's been participating in camp. It's just one of those things that you don't want to rush, so we're trying to get her back in. You know, my staff and I talk a lot about what we want her in, what we want her out of, how to get her reps, how to get her going. But she says she feels great. She had some more meetings with doctors and stuff, and when the doctors say it's go time and she can get back into full stuff, that's when we'll throw her in.
Coach, in your first year, you've already improved, winning 4 more games than you guys did in 2017. So moving forward into year 2, what are the team's biggest goals, and what would you consider to be a successful season?
Yeah, we talk a lot about the process. I'm a process guy. I just think, again, cliche, but it's we got to get 1% better every day. And I can't control how good the conference is. I can't control how good some of the teams in the Big Ten are, but we can certainly control what we do and the lineup we put out there. I think you'll see a team this year that is a lot more physical than we've had in the past. I think the volleyball IQ is really high. You know, we brought Emily Fitzner as a kid who you will recognize the name because her brother played basketball here last year, but she's a kid I've known for quite some time. Had committed to USC as going to be the setter at USC, and then decommitted with a coaching change. And we just have skill positions. Her and Haley Armstrong, who's a freshman from Toronto, and a kid I've known since she was 14. Those are 2 freshman kids with elite skill sets that are going to play a lot. So we've added stuff. You know, I think it's going to be a very, very different look. And with the transfers that we've brought in, there's a level of edge and confidence to them. They've been around, they've played college volleyball, they feel really good about being here. I think it's a renewed energy for them. So yeah, I don't put a number of wins or number of losses. We're going to be a pain to play. You know, we're going to be competitive, we're physical. I think we do a lot of things at a pretty good level. And I'm not foolish. I know how good the conference is and how tough the schedule is, but I like my team.
And I think one thing that Kendall's injury last year showed a lot is there wasn't very much depth on the team. I mean, how much more confident are you with that this year to have fresh legs?
Yeah, I mean, last night in training, we didn't have Cam Malloy, Daisha Lofton, or Kendall Bierman in the practice, and it was still elite. You know, we were playing full stuff. We had subs on each side. We're carrying 18 people on the roster. So an injury, when you don't have depth, one injury can be debilitating, and you just struggle to find production in key places. I think, again, a testament to my staff. They've done a great job of identifying people that wanted to be here. We did a great job recruiting. And then I think we have enough depth now that we have a variety of systems we can look at, whether we play with 1 setter or 2 setters. We have a whole bunch of arms and physical kids. So trying to find the right lineup, I think, is the biggest challenge. And I tell them all the time, I don't care who plays, I want to win. And if they're interested in playing, then they've got to put it on tape, to use the NFL term, and show us that they deserve to be on the floor. And if they do good things for the program, they're going to play.
You've played, coached at places that were very high levels, of course, and you made the decision to come here. What was it about Indiana that drew you? What did you see for you to come here?
For me, it started with the administration, me trusting Fred. I just think he's a good human being, and he's done a great job, especially with his say-do ratio. For me, has been incredible. Everything he said was going to be happening for volleyball happened. The support we have here, I think, is second to none. I think I've been in a lot of programs. It's elite in terms of how they take care of the student athlete. The recruiting pitch is pretty simple. You get to play in the Big Ten. It's the best conference in the country. It's a world-class degree. Campus is always in the top 2 or 3 of most beautiful in the country. We've won as a staff. We've trained pros and Olympians. At the end of the day, if your volleyball goals will help you get to, you get a world-class degree and hopefully do something. The program's been around 45 or 50 years. There's been 1 All-American. I'm a little itchy to get that number going north and bringing in kids who are, looking to play with the national team, looking to play in an Olympics, and that's the kind of kid I want to coach.
We're going to take one more.
You just talked about it today. You've talked about it before, but how much easier has that sell been because you can point to this building, you can point to maybe a level of investment in this program that probably just wasn't there before a couple years ago when the sort of the concept of this building was announced?
certainly front and center. I think the other things that matter is we had a roster last year of 10 or 11 kids when healthy, and we were on the bubble for the tournament in year one. I think when you look at the energy around it, I think the fact that we sold out, we had huge crowds at home matches. I think everything's pointing in the direction. When you take the job, you want people to know that you believe it's going to happen. And then people are, skeptical by nature. They want to see what's going on. And the team was better, the energy was better, recruiting has gone crazy, and we're finally in the new building. When you stack those things all up together, I think it's the start of what's going to be hopefully a pretty fun run here.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.